Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. On this episode of the Shop Build series, we're going to show you how we do epoxy floors. Enjoy the video. For our epoxy floor, we're going to do, there's tons of color options you can choose from. You pick a base color, and there's tons of different flake. You can pick multiple colors: grays, blacks, blues, tans, and browns. This is kind of like a grayish color. The one we ended up going with is this. It's called Carbon. Has a bunch of slate grays and blacks in it with a base coat of black. I think, in my opinion, if you have a floor that has more imperfections and isn't as flat, I would go with something that has like multicolored specks in it. It would kind of break up the eye line a little bit. These more solid colors will show more imperfections, I think. Also, the darker colors will show dirt footprints and tire tracks more than a lighter color will. Here is the kit we are going with. Eureka PTC LWT 100 is a Polyaspartic epoxy. I like this one because it's a very simple mix. 1 can of red top, 1 can of black top, 50-50 mix. We got the dye in. We got the dye in black, and we got the Carbon marble effect flake. The thing that's nice about these Polyaspartic style epoxies is they're more of a roll-on and less of a super flow. So if your floor isn't perfectly level, it won't, once you kind of roll it on and shoot all the flake on there, it doesn't tend to flow to one corner that's low. Once it's rolled on, it's good. So today we're going to be throwing down the epoxy on the shop floor here. Yesterday I did 2 coats of white paint on all the walls just to brighten up the area. I'm not sure if white's going to be the final color, but definitely brightens it up. But today we're going to throw down some epoxy on the floor. This is kind of almost best case scenario. This concrete is new and clean, and well, new, it's only a few months old. It's got no cracks in it, no oil spills, no major stains. But step one, since there's a bit of paint on here, and you should do this even with brand new concrete, even if it's just like the 28-day cure time, you should always prep the surface. So he's gone out and he's gonna go grab the big floor scarifier. I'm gonna go around the edges with a grinder and a cup wheel. I'm gonna use that cup wheel to do the whole border where the big machine won't get, and then we'll do a big once over on the big machine. We don't have to do much, just basically bring this surface right back to brand new concrete, and we'll be ready to throw down. We're actually probably going to do the epoxy on the curve first, run the flake, let that cure, and then do the main body of the floor. And then afterwards, I'm going to say this now before I forget, all these expansion joints we cut when the slab was done, we're going to go back, we're going to mark these out, and we're going to recut them. This machine here, Home Depot rental, works just like a floor buffer would. You hold it at your hips and you pull these triggers, and a slight lift will make a drive to the right, and a slight dip will make a drive to the left. It's very micro movements you have to make. This thing will fuck off on you if you don't. It's just very slow, up and down, up and down. Use your whole body to keep it steady. It does a great job. prepping these floors. It will smooth it out if you keep going and keep going, but this is a brand new slab, so we're just trying to scratch the surface. They do have bigger versions of this you actually ride on and have a vacuum built in. If I was doing this every day, I'd probably look into getting one of those, but for now, stick with this guy. This is what it looks like originally. Well, it's hard to tell, but this has been hit with the machines. You can see the little swirl marks it leaves. You want to move at a pace at such, these swirls are so tight together you could barely see them. And we're going front to back and then going left to right. This is the before using the scarifier, and this is after. Okay, so grinding is all done. Now we can get the leaf blower out, blow this all out, vacuum everything out, make it as clean as possible. Clean out these expansion joints, make sure everything in here is as dust free as we can make it. The key to this working, whether it's an old concrete or new concrete, and this goes for any finish, epoxy, paint, sealer, whatever. If you're planning on even using that garage floor paint or concrete paint that they sell at Home Depot and stuff, where they say, oh, you just paint this over the concrete, I would still do this step and bring the surface back to fresh concrete. And the other thing you got to keep in mind is you want to keep this concrete as dry as possible. The reason we waited for the roof to be on here is so we know this slab has been dry for several days, and we're making sure that we're not bringing in any moisture as much as possible here. Like, I'm avoiding stepping in any of that dirt or anything like that, just so I can keep this as dry as possible. You might think normally when you're using dusty equipment like that, it's easy to say, oh, use water to keep the dust down, but this is one of those cases where you don't want to use any water at all. Okay, so base coat is down. We just used a paddle mixer on my drill with a slow speed, mixed it for about 2 minutes. We're both wearing these are like the cheapy guys, just spiky cleats that clip on top of your boots. It allows you to walk on the floor without causing any footprints. We had a squeegee and and a pretty wide roller. Mixed up, like I said, mixed up for about 2 minutes in the bucket and just poured it in a big S pattern. And we just toss these carbon flake. These are carbon flakes. You kind of want to over toss it. You're supposed to let this sit for about 4 hours plus. Then you come back and you scrape off all the excess flake. Collect that all. We'll blow it off again, and we'll squeegee on another. We'll mix up another kit and do a clear coat. We looked at the amount of kit we had, and we decided to leave the curbs, and we're probably just going to end up painting those black instead of using the epoxy. We wanted to make sure we had enough to do this floor and enough to have a thick enough clear coat. But yeah, we'll come back later and I'll show you the final product.
The next morning.
Okay, the epoxy base coat has cured. We actually left it overnight. Now we're going to take this big floor scraper here and flake off anything that's loose. We can flake off, and then we'll collect all the chips that can actually be reused for another project or toss, whatever, and then we can throw the clear coat on top, and then this epoxy floor is done. Okay, clear coat is on there. We'll let this sit. it looks like that back area, the back there is drying a little differently. We're gonna see how this comes out. Worst case scenario, we're gonna put another coat on top. But the rest of this looks pretty damn awesome. If you are doing your own epoxy finish at this point, you are done. One clear coat is enough. After letting it cure, we decided to go out and grab one more kit and do a second coat on top. The great thing about epoxy is you can always come back and add another clear coat on top whenever you want. If your epoxy is fresh and it's within 24 hours, you could throw the new coat on top of the old clear coat with no preparation, other than if it's a clean surface, you could just put a new clear coat on top of it. But at any point, if you want to add a clear coat or refresh your floor, you can come in and just give it a nice scuff with like a 400 grit light sandpaper all over the surface. Clean that up, clean up all the dust, and then you can do a second coat. We decided for our purposes for this shop that we would like to have a thicker clear coat. But like I said, if you're doing a regular garage floor, one coat of clear is sufficient. We're still working on this shop project here. We have plenty of other projects coming up. So consider subscribing. Leave a comment down below. Thanks for watching.